Good morning. I'm Dr. Sean Coomer, and Chief Medical Officer of the Kansas City Division at the University of Kansas Health System. Welcome back to Open Mics and our monthly edition of Show Me the Science. And today, the science is about all of us. We're looking at research that is nationwide to improve healthcare. We are talking about precision healthcare, and we've got some exciting guests today to help us understand the data being collected. The All of Us research program, led by the National Institutes of Health, is focused on speeding up health research with a focus first on adults. To explain, here's Alexis Del Cid.
The four-state Heartland Consortium works as part of the NIH's All of Us research program. It's led by KU Medical Center alongside other academic medical centers. Unlike research studies that focus on one disease or one group, All of Us is building a diverse and secure database. More than 875,000 people are part of it. This is the largest connected health data set in the world. It's called a biobank, a massive library of DNA and health information available for approved groups to learn how genes, environment, and other factors affect our health. So far, researchers have found more than 1.2 billion genetic variants, including more than 275 million previously unreported variants. The goal is to advance precision medicine research, allowing clinicians to one day tailor care by accounting for differences in biology, behavior, and environment.
Expanding to make sure children aren't left behind. We're excited to share Children's Mercy is now joining the Heartland Consortium, partnering with us to help enroll children up to age 5 and their parents or guardians. Let's meet the people making it happen. Executive Director of the Consortium, Miranda Handke, Dr. Tomi Pastanen, who serves as the All of Us Principal Investigator at Children's Mercy, and pediatrician Dr. Jennifer Diosegi. Dr. Sarah Van Dries, the Director of Pediatrics for the NIH All of Us Research Program, is joining us virtually. Thank you all for joining us. Before we get started, we spoke to Dr. Kenlulu Ojo, the lead Principal Investigator for the Heartland Consortium, on the background of the All of Us research program and our participation.
It is the largest research program in the world that has ever been performed. And more importantly, it is a singular program that will really allow our healthcare providers to be able to take advantage of all the advances in medicine, including the Human Genome Project that identifies all our genes, all the information technology tools that have been developed, and the ability to analyze data, all will be brought together to ensure that individuals can get better treatment. It is also exciting in that the All of Us research program is not looking at people who are ill. It is also looking at people who are healthy, because we want to identify those biologic factors, including genes, that protect people against getting sick. So people who are healthy, people who are resilient, we want to know what makes them healthy, what makes them resilient, so that effort can be made to help people prevent disease in the future by taking advantage of the information that we can learn from those who are healthy.
Dr. Van Dries, can you explain how this genomic information can guide research and medical care in the future?
Yeah, that's a big question with a lot of answers, but I'll highlight some of what I think are the really exciting advances that are helping keep people stay healthy. One example comes from diseases like cystic fibrosis, where understanding the genetic causes of a disease can lead to new and better treatments, sometimes even preventing the onset of symptoms. Other researchers are looking at how genetic changes in all of us individuals in the world predict our response to medications so that patients can get the right medicine at the right dose right away. And in my career, I've had the pleasure of working with researchers right in Kansas City who are the world leaders in doing this, especially for children. And then that's really a specific example of a much broader area of research, which is looking at information in the genes and differences between individuals, and combining that with information about exposures and life experiences to figure out how those things interact. Researchers are looking at those patterns using giant data sets like All of Us, and really finding ways to keep people healthy and the best approaches to treatment if people find themselves sick. And you can imagine that when we want to combine information from genes with information from lived experience, we really need folks from all walks of life to contribute to that research. Otherwise, the findings won't be applicable to everyone in every place and in every age and in every lived experience.
About prevention as much about treatment, correct?
Absolutely.
Miranda, can you help us understand participation? How many have enrolled nationwide, and why does it matter that people in the Midwest are also included?
Absolutely. So you heard previously that there's over 875,000 enrolled nationally. And when people join this program, they're really joining a historic effort to speed up medical research and improve health for everyone, including future generations. And it's especially important that people from the Midwest are included in this effort. In the past, many research studies have left out the Midwest, especially rural areas. And rural areas have different jobs, environments, and access to health care. So when people from this region participate, research becomes more accurate and more meaningful for our communities right here at home.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a great point. When people get caught up in their own environment, right? We're in Kansas City, we're around a bunch of hospitals, and access to health care is still tough. But you think about someone that has to travel 6 hours or something, it's a lot different. So absolutely. How many enrolled here at KU and across the Heartland Consortium?
Sure. Since we started formally enrolling in October 2024, our Heartland Consortium, which consists of our partners at the University of Nebraska Medical Center, also University of Iowa Healthcare, and now Children's Mercy, we've enrolled over 1,700 participants with over 800 just here at KU Med.
That's fantastic. Great work. Dr. Van Dries, this expansion makes the health system and Children's Mercy one of the only few initial partners across the country that are enrolling kids and their families. How does this pediatrics portion work from a practical standpoint?
Yeah, great question. So as we mentioned, we want the All of Us program to be open from folks from all walks of life. We also want families to participate together. So with that in mind, pediatric participation or participation of children in the program really starts with enrollment of a parent of a child. And that adult can then choose to enroll their child or their children in All of Us as well. And then for both adult and pediatric participants, one of the things about the All of Us program is that participants get to choose how they participate in the program. So for example, participants can choose whether or not to fill out surveys, whether or not to share their electronic health records. And for those who are eligible to come in for a visit to do physical measurements or provide a biosample, they get to choose whether or not to do that. And parents can choose whether or not their children do each of those activities. Now, other than the visit where you come in to, provide your blood pressure, your height, your weight, and those sorts of things, and potentially a biosample like blood or saliva, other than that, folks can enroll and participate from the comfort of their own home and fill out the surveys on their smartphone, tablet, or their home computer. So we try to make it easy for both for those folks who do live close to the medical centers and can come in, but also provide ways to participate for those who are further away to make that less burdensome for them.
Dr. Pastinen, children are our legacy, but why is including children in the health research important?
So I can take two examples that are relevant to the All of Us study. One is that the foundation of many of our chronic diseases in adulthood is actually already in childhood. And as Dr. Van Dries explained, looking at that environment interaction with your genome is going to be the foundation of prevention of these chronic adulthood diseases. But we're not only interested in helping adult health, but also child health. And one area of child genomes that is unique is in the area of rare genetic diseases. So we see a collection of individually rare but collectively relatively common diseases, early in childhood, often they are so severe that if you only look at adult genomes, you will not capture those variations. And it's really important, again, for us to think about new strategies to prevent and treat these diseases, such as newborn sequencing. So really there is no substitute for including children in these studies, and there is actually no large collection of childhood genomes anywhere in the world today. So
that's really exciting. Dr. Diasegui, your team has been highly involved with the program team at KU. What makes you excited about this expansion?
Well, I am very excited to tell my patients about the All of Us program, because every child and family in our health system and at Children's Mercy should have the opportunity to participate in research. And this is so accessible. It is, like Dr. Vandries said, there are many different ways and levels in which they can participate. The structure and support of the program has been in place for years with the success on the adult side, and prior to launching with children, we worked extensively to adapt that process to be easy for families and comfortable and even fun for the kids.
Right. So what kind of opportunity does this provide your patients in particular?
Exactly, yeah. So it allows a child, regardless of their health status or their medical history, to be involved in these medical advances that will be here for years to come. And what I love too is what Dr. Vandries touched on, that the parent and the child enroll together. Mm-hmm. So what a unique thing for them to be able to go through this process and to be able to represent their family and their environment and their social and their genetic, components in research that will impact outcomes for years.
Miranda, if a child joins the research program, what's required of them and their parents?
Absolutely. So as you heard Dr. Vandries mention, they will be required to do a couple of steps. So they give consent or permission, and they can do that online from the comfort of their home. They'll choose whether they want to share high-level de-identified information from their electronic health record. They will also complete health surveys for themselves and their child. And then also, if they choose to, they'll come in and they can provide a biosample, which is blood or saliva, and give physical measurements with that.
Mm-hmm. And it's obviously, when people get nervous about sharing their electronic health record, I mean, obviously it's HIPAA compliant, there's confidentiality that's really important to know.
Yes,
as well.
Absolutely.
Dr. Vandries, what's in it for the participant? Why should someone sign their child up?
That's a great question. And we've actually asked the families who are already participating in the program that question, to ask them, what's your why? Why is it that you chose to be part of the research program? And the answer that we get overwhelmingly from the vast majority of people is that their number one reason is that they want to be a part of better health for the future. When families participate together, they make a difference for generations to come, as we heard. We also know that families want to be able to learn together about their own health, about medical research, and about the medical discoveries that are made using the data that they've provided in the program. So it's a great opportunity for families to participate together in something that's really big and impactful.
Right. And Dr. Vandries, back to you. Can you clarify, All of Us is not a study in and of itself. So how will this information be utilized?
Great question. That's right. So the goal of All of Us is to partner with participants to collect health information and really build this enormous library of information from thousands and thousands of individuals. And so when participants share their information, it's combined with the information from all these thousands of other folks in a secure research environment. And that research environment protects the privacy of each individual and securely holds all of that data. So it is like a library in that it contains tons of information, but researchers can't check out that information. You have to use the information right there in the library so it stays safe and secure. And right now we have over 24,000 researchers from all over the country and all over the world who are doing just that. They're entering the researcher workbench, which is our vast library of data, and they are studying the information that is there in order to make new discoveries.
Dr. Pasten, can you give us some examples of how medical research involving children can be more challenging than research with adults? I'm thinking of things like informed consent or rapidly changing bodies. What else would we be thinking about?
Yes, I think the consent and assent of older children is a clear difference to adults, but also just simple things like we heard about biospecimen procurement. So getting a blood sample that is relatively simple with an adult. We don't like needle pricks, but it may not be a big deal. But for my kids, it might be the biggest deal of the week to have to give blood, for example. So we have to be really innovative in the ways to mitigate any discomfort of biospecimen procurement, and then be flexible, like we heard from Dr. Van Driest and Miranda here, how all of us gives a lot of opportunities of giving different type of biospecimens. Not everyone needs to give blood, but obviously in a children's hospital we've come very savvy on how to distract and mitigate the discomfort of giving blood. The second part, I think, in children is that, as you mentioned, they are evolving and developing, and health conditions are evolving and developing. So the best bang for the buck, if you will, is if we study kids longitudinally and collect information over time, and how the health evolves and how development influences that. So having a sustainable major effort like the All of Us study or program is key for collecting the most valuable information from children.
Well, I empathize with your comment about, I've got 20-some-year-old kids, adult kids, and it's tough getting them to get the needles in the doctors. That's tough. Miranda, do you know of any researchers here at KUMC that are already using the data set or are planning on it? If so, what are they researching?
I do. We have faculty, staff, and students all using the data set here at KUMC. For example, Dr. Diego Mazzochi, who is an associate professor and our division chief of medical informatics and internal medicine, his research focuses on the intersection of sleep health, big data, and genetics. So his team is using the All of Us data set to discover new insights about sleep disorders. They're also analyzing millions of Fitbit data to see how our lives impact our sleep health. And he is also not only involved in his own research, but really passionate about empowering the next generation of researchers. And he'll be giving a specialized workshop here at KUMC to teach other faculty, staff, and students how to use this data set and the researcher workbench.
Oh, that's exciting. So wearable technology also
Absolutely.
plays in this as well.
Yeah.
So that's great. We're here to answer your questions. Please send them in using the info on your screen. That includes the chat on YouTube or Facebook, or emailing the Medical News Network. Let's check in with Doc Hawk. We're hearing about a new vaccine for Lyme disease. Can you put this in perspective for us here, Dr. Hawkinson?
Yeah, for sure. I would say that overall this is very early news. It's still in the study phase, but it is a great thing. We do know and understand that vaccines are one of the greatest interventions for individual and public health in human history. Although Lyme disease has not affected and likely will not affect impactfully a significant number or amount of people, such as measles or polio, it does affect a large number of patients in certain communities in our country. So basically, Lyme disease can cause an acute illness and then can precipitate more of a chronic inflammatory illness as well. And what I would say is that while we do have the ticks in Kansas and Missouri in our area, overall, we have small rates of Lyme disease. We certainly have, and we've talked about this before, a larger burden of disease with things like Rocky Mountain spotted fever and ehrlichiosis, which are both bacterial infections. So although there were some caveats noted by Pfizer in this study for this vaccine in this very early trial, it does seem promising in stopping infection up to 70% in this late stage trial. So I think that is very good. Basically, would like to go over the mechanism of this vaccine. You know, we understand vaccines, and most of us have had vaccines. The vaccine itself is very interesting. It acts by actually helping your body create antibodies to a protein on the bacteria that causes Lyme disease. And once those antibodies are created, they are circulating through your bloodstream. So if you are bitten by a tick and the tick takes a blood meal, and you remember that the tick has to be attached to you for 48 to 72 hours before it can really start spreading that bacteria. The tick will take up those antibodies with the blood meal, and then the antibodies in the blood will make their way to the tick's gut, where they will bind to the bacteria to stop the bacteria from ever reaching the salivary glands of the tick, and thereby allowing, making sure that the bacteria is not kind of regurgitated or put back into you. I know it's kind of disgusting. We do have an image there, a cartoon showing how the mechanism is, but it is very interesting because it is quite different from other vaccines that we know about.
Yeah, so timing is very interesting. You know, obviously we're entering the season where we need to start thinking and worrying about ticks. Can you tell us what are some of the things that we should be thinking about when we talk about, you know, being outside, working or playing, and looking for ticks and removing them?
No, I think that is a great segue. So, you know, we are coming out of respiratory viral season right now, and we are entering into the vector-borne disease season, essentially ticks and mosquitoes, just as you said. So currently around here, the most common mosquito illness is West Nile virus. And then as we talked about before, for ticks, it would be more like ehrlichiosis, Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Bourbon virus disease, and Heartland virus disease. So therefore, it is vitally important to protect you from getting bit by these mosquitoes. And how do we do that? The mosquitoes and ticks. Number one, always know the environment you're going into. Are you going to be out in your yard gardening? Are you going to be picking up leaves, hiking, fishing, hunting? We know those are very popular things around here. So it's important to wear light-colored long sleeve shirts and long pants as well. This does make it easier for the ticks to be seen when they are on your clothes. And then when you get done working outside, it is important to take off your clothes as soon as you get in the house and do a tick check on your body, like you said, and try to remove those ticks. And then again, most important, and we will probably hit on this again before the summer, but using insect repellent, insect spray, especially with DEET, all of these things will help protect you against mosquitoes and ticks as now the seasons are changing and we are getting into warmer weather.
Really important to do a full tick check, right? So
That's
you know,
right.
when you're outside working, you're playing, a lot of people come in, take a shower or a bath. It's a good time to do a tick check, right?
Yeah, they like getting in those crevices and those hard to reach places for sure.
Okay.
So.
Alexis Del Cid is watching for questions from our community. Alexis, over to you.
Good morning, Dr. Coomer. We have a question from Stuart, and Stuart writes, because of my All of Us genetic results, I now know I have some mutations to some of my CYP genes. That means I metabolize certain drugs like Tylenol and warfarin in a different way. If I give my providers this kind of information, are they equipped to change their treatments and advice based on this?
Dr. Passanen, Dr. Diosegi, you want to take that, or what do you think?
Yes, I would say I've had patients come to me with that certain type of information, and it absolutely drives our care plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, metabolism of drugs would be altered with something like that. So it's really important you get really high therapeutic levels or low therapeutic levels with some of these drugs. So that would be an important thing to discuss with your physician.
Becca wants to know how she gets involved in this with her child. What does she need to do today?
Randy, you want to take that one?
Absolutely. So Becca's mom, or Becca, could call our dedicated hotline here at KU Med. So she could call 913-588-2888, or she could visit joinallofus.org/KS.
Great. All right.
Tommy has a question about age. Tommy writes, what if my child is older than 4 years old? Can we still participate?
Dr. Paston, do you want to take that one?
So currently the study only accepts the younger patients, but we will hear from Dr. Sarah Van Dries. The goal is to open for older ages later this year. So maybe Dr. Van Dries, you can give a little bit on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to comment on that. Yeah, right now, children are eligible to enroll until their 5th birthday. Later this year, we will be opening that up, and will be open to children up to their 11th birthday. And in the program, we started with that youngest age group in order to get that longitudinal data that Dr. Passanen talked about on that youngest group as long as possible. So right now, up to 5. Soon, up to age 11. And then in the years to come, we'll be adding the adolescent age group as well. So when that happens, all of us will be open to everyone, every age.
Lisa has a question about the security of the health data. She wants to know where and how is it stored, and then how is it protected?
I don't know, Miranda or Dr. Van Driest want to take that one?
Go ahead, Dr. Van Driest.
Sure. So as I mentioned, the data is held in a secure cloud. Researchers have to go through some training and go through some checks before they're able to access those data. The program has a very active security protocol that's constantly upgrading in order to make sure the data are secure. The program even has what's called white hat hackers. So people who try to break into the program's database and let us know if they see any vulnerabilities so that we can fix those immediately and keep the data secure. Additionally, the program does have something called certificates of confidentiality. These keep the data secure and prevent the data to be used for things other than research.
Derek has a question about where you have to be a patient. He wants to know if you have to be a patient of Children's Mercy or the University of Kansas Health System to be involved in this.
No, you do not have to be a patient at KU Med or Children's Mercy. It is open to the community and all are welcome.
And we have one more question. The last question is from James. It's a good question. James wants to know, if I change my mind, can I pull my child out of the program?
Yes.
Yeah, so sounds like absolutely at any time that's allowed, absolutely. So, well, thanks, Alexis, appreciate it. This has been a really incredible discussion. We want to get some final thoughts from our guests, and I'll start with Dr. Van Driest.
I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the program. The team there in Kansas City is doing such a great job working with us for the All of Us program. I hope as folks have more questions about the program that they reach out, talk to Miranda and her team about the program, and consider joining us at All of Us.
Thanks for joining us from afar, Dr. Van Driest. Miranda, final thoughts?
I was so excited to be here today. And again, I just want to reiterate that if you or your family are interested in joining the program, you can reach out to our dedicated team here at KU Med. You can either call 913-588-2888 or visit joinallofus.org/KS.
Thank you. Dr. Diasegui?
Yes, and I would add too that I've had patients who can reach out by MyChart because that's just their typical way to reach out to their provider at this point. And I want to let families know and children know that it is so easy to get involved. It's very accessible. We do a lot of discussion in a regular appointment, you know, barring time and then just comfort level of the family. And it doesn't add extra time to their visit. They control the conversation, and so it's a very easy process.
Great, thank you. Dr. Pastanen?
And me too, I'm very excited to be here and thank the KU Medical Center for involving Children's Mercy in this very important study. Everyone should understand that this is unique. There has been no such study conducted anywhere in the world. It's exciting times for genomic research and prevention of disease through understanding genomes. And we're just thrilled to contribute as much as we can from Children's Mercy as well.
Right. Thank you to all four of you for being here. Let's get back to Alexis to hear what she's working on for tomorrow's show.
Thank you, Dr. Coomer. And here's what we have for you on tomorrow's All Things Heart. Tammy Hossein Mustafa said she felt like she was decades older than she actually was before doctors here finally found a solution. They also found a diagnosis and a procedure that gave her her life back. That's tomorrow at 8 a.m.
Great. Thanks, Alexis. And thanks again to all of our guests and to our audience. Remember, faith, hope, and science.
Subscribe to our morning medical update and open mics with Dr. Stites podcasts. Now, everywhere podcasts are available.